So thank you so much. You guys were really the catalyst for us kicking off this series as case studies. So, but just to introduce myself, my name's Jillian. So I work with Highfive on their social. And then we have Jen here. Jen is, of course, the head of our product marketing. And so we are really happy to be joined by you today, Brian. You are the owner or the director of Bouchaine Vineyards?
If I were an owner, I'd be home maybe on my hammock, but I'm the director of sales here, yeah.
Fantastic. So we're really here to talk about how your business, Bouchaine, obviously has really taken what is otherwise a sensory experience and managed to kind of translate this online. And not only have you guys done this well, it's garnered a lot of really great press. So congratulations on really adapting in this crisis and thinking outside of the box. And really like showing how your business can grow while many other businesses are struggling. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about Bouchaine and really who your customer is.
Bouchaine, fortunately, especially in these kinds of economic moments, is owned by a nice couple or family-owned wineries. So we differ in that respect in terms of the modern trend in Napa. So many small wineries like ours have been bought up over the years by huge corporations. So one of the main reasons we were able to pivot is that we didn't fire everyone like half of the Napa Valley wineries did, and we closed. We had our employees work from home, and our customers were an old winery. We've been here for 40 years. So in terms of the demographic, it very much represents the Bay Area in general, international people, people of all demographic backgrounds, really, both culturally and economically. Napa Valley sees, in general, about 50% of the customers come from just Northern California. So if you own a winery in Sonoma or Napa, those are your key customers. But the reason I was drawn to your system is, of course, the other key customers, the 50 or 60% of your customers that come from around the country that you might see once. And how do you stay in touch with them? And how do you maintain your relationship? And how do you remind them that they had a good time at your winery? So, and this is true across the board for an industry. If you're not into strictly wholesale sales and you're interested in retail, or what we call in the wine business, direct-to-consumer sales, that's actually my title, direct-to-consumer director. That is such a bizarre sound that I don't bother going by it much. You've got to figure out how to get the attention of your customers and bring some added value. And I thought this would really be your system plus this view behind me. It's a pretty good added value for an hour worth of wine discussion. I can't hear either one of you right now.
Sorry.
Just me.
So I was reading in the New York Times article that you guys were actually planning on doing these online activations originally prior to the COVID pandemic coming through. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about what that was like and how have you really adapted the program in light of the circumstances?
Well, this I thought would be a new direct-to-consumer channel across the board for the industry. The wine industry circa like 2008 figured out, geez, we could actually call our customers like people have been doing since the 1960s, and they then started a telemarketing angle. But for a higher brand touch point and for a little bit more genuine conversation, this seemed to be far better than just simply calling people out of the blue. I can see the two of you and you're on a big screen and it makes me feel like sitting here with me, And so it replicates more the gentle touch and warmth of a real sale. And we had planned on this for a year. We probably would have launched it a little sooner, but there were delays in our new building. So I wanted to combine the technology with this view to tell a brand story about, our vineyard there. And so even during coronavirus, it's been very successful on that front. The motifs have been different than I expected, but what we did is we had to close. And the wonderful thing is that we have good customer relationships. And so from home, the employees genuinely were able to call people and say, we have something free for you if you're a member of our winery. And if you're not, even we've got these little inexpensive promotions, and we want to bring a little California sunshine to your life. And I think that's what we've largely done. Last night I was here until about 9:30, and I was here because during the crisis, when it first started, all of my employees were home, so I had to answer all of the emails. Me and one other person from 2 different buildings, answering all the phone calls and answering all the emails. And one of the things that came through was from mothers that said, Brian, we want to have a wine tasting with you, but the kids don't go to bed until 8 o'clock. So I realized my new angle into a completely different part of the American market that I didn't know before. So we've now implemented in the 3 weeks of the month and a half, whatever it's been, evening tastings for moms. So there have been some changes, yeah. But the essential idea remains the same. We can reach out to our customer base. We can see them. They can see us. We can share a little bit of Napa Valley with them through the windows, and that's really nice. And we used the system that way, and we've used the system now. Instead of imagining that we would instigate a dinner party where friends would come over and our best customers might be brand ambassadors for us and open our wine, and we would be able to talk to their friends before a dinner, and then they would understand the wine better that they were going to pair with their food. Now it's become household parties, 10 friends in 10 houses calling in all at once, and so it's changed the way we've used the system. One of our sales techniques now actually is to leave the conference call and say to everyone, we're done talking about wine. If you have any more questions, we'll be back in 15 minutes. But have a conversation, have a dinner party, have a cocktail party, and we'll be back. And so we've allowed our customers to use your system without us. And it brings a nice human touch considering the circumstances.
That's so nice. You can give them the space to kind of hang out and have that connection that I think we're all craving so much right now. And I also love the idea of you having like an up late night session with Brian. I'll log in.
Well, it's awfully nice. There aren't many times in business when you can reach out and provide something to your customers when they need it. So many times in the sales gambit, we're asking people for something. We're asking them for their money, for their attention. And in this case now, from my corner office, we've turned my corner office into a little bit of Napa sunshine that we deliver to people, and I like that. It gives us a chance to have these memorable moments with our customers that we wouldn't otherwise have had.
Yeah,
that's excellent.
Super dynamic too, no? I mean, we saw the yoga instruction, we saw the paella chef. Like, maybe you can tell us a little bit about some of the experiences that you've hosted so far.
Well, and this is another great example. So normally wineries, small ones particularly, have to beg restaurants, please pay attention to us. We have fabulous wine. We really want to be on your wine list. And quite sadly, as we all know, all of our favorite restaurants, the best chefs in the world, are now out of business. They're closed for the moment, and many of them worried about reopening. And so it's given us a chance, and it will give us more chances to reach out to chefs and great sommeliers who are normally so busy we barely have 5 seconds of their time, but now instead we can invite them to our $1 million kitchen. We have a stove that literally costs $400,000, custom made by hand and shipped here from France. Normally it'd be crazy but when you need to produce a TV show, all of a sudden it's beautiful. And so we're leveraging our existing new building and really a gorgeous world-class teaching kitchen in a way that we wouldn't have had time for otherwise. And your system has allowed us to do that. And there's a very prestigious musical center in New York City that we're now in conversation with to potentially provide not only virtual wine tastings, but maybe also, as it turns out, virtual music and wine pairings. And so the idea of virtual things has migrated from being a small but scalable direct-to-consumer channel for me into something now where suddenly we have a totally different customer base for different reasons. So the first wave was customers, of course, looking for us for virtual wine tastings. The second wave, concurrent with it, has been corporations reaching out, looking to somehow engage their customers when they can't have a conference, or they can't fly their employees anywhere, or they can't have an employee appreciation night or a customer appreciation weekend. Instead, they're sending little kits out. So my first offering was virtual wine tastings. My second offering now will be virtual cooking classes. And for those who feel like being more esoteric, we've got music and wine. Mr. and Mrs. Copeland, our owners, support the arts. Mrs. Copeland's related to Rachmaninoff. And so we're taking now one of our great stories and actually activating it through this system. And we're able to talk about our wine in musical language, which is awfully nice.
I love it. I love that. Jenny, do you want to maybe touch on some of the more technical aspects of what these guys are working with over there?
Yeah, definitely. And thank you, Brian, for your time. This has been fantastic just hearing your guys' story. And I don't want to get too technical into deep dive into what you guys are doing over there, but more just around the use cases, additional use cases. So I know that you recently, one of our first customers using our new feature, moderated meetings. Can you talk through that experience of what the use case for that is?
Well, we used it, and I'm still experimenting.
Mm-hmm.
When we started to have some of Napa Valley's prominent chefs come in to cook, mm-hmm. we knew we couldn't handle 100 or 10,000 people logging in and asking questions.
Right.
And of course, providing all of the unmuted noise that inevitably happens with that. So the moderated meeting was the key, really, actually, to us being able to have a cooking class that we could broadcast. And right now we're doing these things for free as a way of kind of, it's a public offering more than anything else. We're allowing anyone to log into them. And if it weren't for the moderated meeting, obviously we couldn't do it. There's going to be an interesting fulcrum point. What is the best use of the moderated meeting? And then this type of interactivity is so key to the customer relationship that I think that once we work with corporations further, there may be moments when we use the moderated meeting for big, huge broadcasts, and then the unmoderated one still for a cooking class where the chef could see 8 people and answer questions as he or she is cooking.
That's excellent. And it's crazy when I talk to you, it sounds like you guys have all your ducks in a row. You've got to kind of figure out like a perfect strategy for this. Did you guys have this in place, like a digital strategy or digital transformation plan in place, or is it something that you guys had to immediately put together once
well, no, we were lucky enough to have beta tested your system for a while, and mm-hmm. In the back of my head always was, once I convinced the owners and to go more full throttle into developing our virtual sales channel, that I would eventually wheel this system into my $1 million kitchen. And so we do have this beautiful kitchen, and independent of the value of it, it's set up gorgeously for branding. And so I always knew that I wanted to combine our winemaker, who's got such great energy and makes such good wine, with famous chefs all around the world, and certainly in the Bay Area. So, but I didn't dare tell anyone. So you got to sort of spoon feed sometimes. Here's what I'm thinking. Well, anyway, as soon as we all were shut down, then, the truth is that the Napa Valley, in my mind, probably really viably won't open until July. And even when we do, can you really accept 500 people if you're a big winery at one time anymore? And the answer is no. So it was easy to see now that we have to reinvest entirely into virtual, and to do it in a way that was still providing more than monologue to customers. And so we had already decided to do this. I'd already decided to devote my office to a view and to your system. But then what do you do with the rest of the hours? And what, right now the answer is, oh my goodness, I've got virtual wine tastings from 10 in the morning, 9 in the morning sometimes, until 9:30 at night. We're using the system, we're nonstop. But rewind 3 or 4 weeks ago and oh, maybe I would have had 2 wine tastings a day. What do I do with the rest of the time? And we have this beautiful resource. We have a grand piano in our dining room. We have a beautiful kitchen. And so, we knew our customers would be home, and we knew that this system could help us reach them.
That's excellent. And what's the initial feedback that you're getting from your customers?
Well, it's been really wonderful, actually. I woke up this morning, and the people I spoke with last night were telling me in an email that they just wanted to do this again. And here's what they wanted to do for their next wine tasting. When could I do it? I don't know the last time I've had customers beg me for a moment of my time. And then in one of the other emails, the customers that I helped 2 nights ago said to me, thank you so much. It was such a fabulous experience. And so we're getting wonderful response, of course. I'm very excited to see how many of our virtual wine tasters, most of whom are new customers, so it's great for new customer capture. How many of them come back for another wine tasting? It gives us a platform for our winemaker to talk directly to our customers, which is so wonderful. And then in terms of the cooking classes, there are a lot of great ramifications, some of which we're reaping now. We're giving content to customers who are staying home, and they're very grateful, and they're sending us notes all the time. The second half of the benefit of this is when all the chefs reopen their restaurants, and potentially Bouchaine gets a chance to be on their wine list for the first time, or again. And so they're all very tangible relationship building moments. For our bottom line, we'll start to realize some of the benefits in 6 months. But right now, we're probably, I would guess, the only winery in the Napa Valley that is way ahead of last year. and to my absolute shock, we are. But we are because of the system itself.
That's excellent. So I hear a couple more questions. So I heard a couple things that you brought up in terms of features or I guess attributes that you appreciate about the Highfive system, which one was like the brand, it looks really nice into a room. And then the ease of, you said that you could just roll in a cart with the system, and you can basically start up a virtual experience within a couple minutes. Is there anything else that you want to share with our user base, or potentially other wineries out there who, if they were looking at a video conferencing system, what things they should be looking for?
Well, there are a lot of components, as it turns out. One of the other wineries had called me and wanted to know what I thought. And there are obvious touches, and then there are some less obvious ones. So if you're into sales, it is awfully useful to dominate the major part of someone's screen, even if 100 people are logged on, versus some people do want more of the Zoom kind of small little icons where you can screen through. And probably once my host leaves a party, I wouldn't mind flipping to that kind of thing where people can have a format for themselves. But this system frees the host, in my case, the way we're using it, from the computer screen. So I'm not, of course, looking at a computer, I'm looking at you. And that psychologically has 2 effects, one on the customer and one on the host. We're looking at and can respond to our customer on this huge TV that I have. So when we knew we wanted to do this, I called LG. We had been hosting their customers all last year, and I said, how about a mini partnership? I need a really good TV. And we put a very sizable TV on wheels, and your system is right there. And you're right, it's very easy to, even someone like me knows how to start the meeting and end the meeting and record the meeting. And so, but in addition to the felicity of the system itself, for sales dynamics, it's a little bit more impactful. You're no longer a slave to your computer. The blue color of the computer screen is no longer on you. Strictly for conversation, the sound and the video quality is very consistent. And for me, I'm able to have a host that you can hear and see, and still my customers can watch as a truck goes past my vineyard or somebody walks through the vineyard rows. And that was the interplay I was after. In addition, the subtle difference between having people log on to an online platform versus sending out an email that can be part of my branding, come join my link, and immediately record things under that auspice and send it out to customers or not. I really appreciate it. And the more I work with the system, the more it seems irreplaceable. Like, I'm not very interested in creating a discussion about our wines on Facebook, for example. Right. So there's a certain there's a branding element and a real dynamic sales element that I've liked a lot.
That's excellent. Thanks for that. And last question. So, what are your future plans to continue using virtual experiences with Highfive?
Well, we might need 2 or 3 of these. I joked with myself when we started along this path that, if I were able to rev up this sales channel, we'd have to devote multiple rooms and with multiple systems. And that may happen because we're starting to run out of reservations already. And I don't think that in the future, our needs for the system will be less. Even when we reopen again, this remains a dynamic way of reaching out to our customers. Later, I have an interview with some writer from Hong Kong who's interested. If we were international, we could reach out to it. And interesting for you guys to know this. And, it was hard for me at first to impart this to my friends, and they didn't pay attention. But I notice now they seem to be. For a winery, if you have a large wholesale presence, you can stay in one beautiful office and call all of your distributors and some of your distributors' customers, and also on a large screen be present for a Q&A in a wholesale environment. So suddenly now your director of sales at 5 o'clock could be in Cherry Lehman in New York and ask and answer questions directly to the customer. That kind of piercing presence in the wine business and cuts through distribution and really helps you connect directly to your customer base. So as we grow, actually, we probably need more of the system. Then also, depending on how the corporations, how much interactivity the corporations need out of our cooking classes, et cetera, we may need to even augment the system. But it's opening us up to dizzying possibilities, and in the best of ways, we can reach out to all the different parts of our business plan and create a new business model at the same time. So, it's very dynamic. As part of a sort of an insider footnote, we're an old winery here at Bouchaine. We've been 4 owners of Bouchaine, and we're the first winery in the southern part of Napa to ever have plants put on it. So our permit happens to go back to the late 1800s, but most wineries in Napa do not. And their permit doesn't allow for 100 events a year and multiple hundreds of people. Instead, they can see 20 people a day. And as you know, if you buy your brand, your vineyard for $350,000 or $400,000 an acre, and you put up your whatever $20 million building, you're probably not going to pay for it, or even pay for your tax deduction through 20 visitors a day visiting. This system for those types of wineries bypasses their permit. And even for me, it bypasses my permit in one way. For the first time ever, I can have tastings with mothers in their home at 8 o'clock. Every winery has to close by 6 o'clock in the Napa Valley. So suddenly now, your ability to reach the East Coast and the West Coast changes drastically. And the scalability of this is much more massive than anything anyone can do on campus at the winery itself.
Wow, we really commend you guys for this out-of-the-box thinking. It's really, really impressive and really such a game changer. I think that's kind of the topic that we're speaking about a lot at HIGHEIVE, Jen. It's like, what is this new normal? Because we're never going to go back to what we had. But you guys have not only thought about what this new normal is, you're actually just even thinking beyond that, like, and really changing your model for everything. So it's very commendable.
Well, thank you. You know what? I don't know if every winery knows it yet, but this is the new sales channel. And so there's a wonderful market with glorious customers on the other side of it that could experience this. I've really enjoyed introducing people. Everyone expects us to be using some maybe more mass marketed system. I've really enjoyed introducing your system to a lot of our customers around the country who aren't in corporate boardrooms maybe, and therefore less knowledgeable of HIGHFIVE, and sharing our vineyard, which was one of my key goals. I thought your system did that so well.
Well, that's maybe a good way to end it. I mean, what would your advice be to businesses, whether they be vineyards or not, who are currently assessing their video conferencing options? Like, what would you say to look for, or what would be some of your suggestions? Because you seem to be like a fish to water for everything.
Well, you know, we always talk about branding in business, and we always talk about customer relationships in business, and then we never really follow through, right? So do you in business really want to look like everyone else? Do you want to be using a system that everyone could be using at home? Maybe a subtle differentiating factor is important when you're talking to a customer. And so, you know, I think it's a careful pivot. You don't want to look like a hokey winery. Your winery is worth $50 million. Why are you using a system that is not worthy of the view from your terrace, for example? So, you know, I think that if you really believe in reaching out to new customers, you have to do it it doesn't have to be over the top. You know, I don't need to be wearing 2 bow ties, but 1 bow tie sometimes is nice.
That's great. Well, it's 11:33 a.m. in New York, and I've been staring 3 bottles of wine on the table for the last half an hour. So I might do some early day drinking. Just kidding. Thank you so much again. You're obviously overwhelmed with requests like this, so we really appreciate you taking a minute to talk to us. And Jen and I look forward to supporting you guys with all the activations that you're having online. So we're going to be putting them onto our social and really directing traffic to you guys. We have a small community online, but most of them are in California. So hopefully we can bring some new clients to the fold.
That'd be wonderful. And, you know, I'll send you an email. There is one relationship developing that you two should both know about that would be very interesting to you being in New York, and we probably should have a discussion.
Okay,
yeah,
perfect. Yeah, thank you so much, Brian.
Okay, thank you. So.
Oh, thank you so much. Congratulations. Stay safe. All the best to you and your team. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.